There's nothing like a crisis in life that can make us realize how fragile we are, and yet how many resources we have for strength and for peace. A serious accident, critical illness, the loss of a job, divorce, death of a loved one, or any myriad of things we experience in life can shake us from the normalcy of life and open our hearts to how precarious the balance we have in the world is. But those experiences can also bring out our faith, the importance of prayer, and the support of our Christian family. As the late gospel singer Ray Charles echoed for many with his song, Hard Times, my mother told me before she passed away, said, "Son, when I'm gone, don't forget to pray. Because there'll be hard times, Lord, those hard times. Who knows better than I?" Well, I soon found out just what she meant when I had to pawn my clothes just to pay the rent. Talking about hard times, Lord, those hard times. Who knows better than I? Lord, one of these days there'll be no more sorrow when I pass away, and no more hard times, no more hard times. Yeah, who knows better than I? Paul, of course, put it a different way. Therefore, since it is by God's mercy that we are engaged in this ministry, we do not lose heart. But we have this treasure in clay jars, so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. Clay jars were extremely common in biblical times. They were used to carry precious water, as well as for storage of all kinds. Clay jars that were sealed could keep things for hundreds of years, as we have found in excavations of ancient sites and in the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Clay was a common substance, and potters mastered the art of forming clay jars on pottery wheels. While some clay jars were beautifully ornamented, most were plain, humble, usable vessels. But whether they were plain or beautiful, they had a life-giving function, gathering, preserving, even transporting. In that sense, Paul used clay jars as a worthy metaphor for the role of the Christian in gathering, preserving, and transporting the spiritual water found in the gospel of Jesus Christ. But clay jars are also rather fragile. They break easily if dropped or hit by a stone. Not many clay jars survived a person's lifetime, and in fewer survived to be passed down through generations. This I have found to be true. I was given several clay jars by my grandmother, and I've lost a couple to careless movers and my own clumsiness. They shatter into pieces if not cared for carelessly. Christian humorist Patsy Claremont wrote a book in 1991 titled "God Uses Cracked Pots." In it, she shares how her personal flaws, mistakes, and struggles that cause cracks in her earthen vessel are used by God to shine light in those broken places of life. Through her stories, we have an opportunity to laugh at our own imperfections and see how God's love is present, even in the most embarrassing situations. And we actually have a copy of her book in our church library. It's a great read. For thousands of years, Japan has produced a variety of clay pots and ceramics. 4 or 5 centuries ago, they created a technique for repairing cracks, large and small. Artisans began using lacquer and gold pigment to put broken vessels back together. This tradition is known as kintsugi, and it translates to English as golden seams or golden repair. This practical but beautiful way of repair brings new life to cracked pots and has in recent years become an art form. I appreciate the metaphor of clay jars because I am all too aware of my calling to proclaim the treasure within me, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm also very conscious of my own inadequacy for that task. It encourages me that St. Paul thought of himself as a clay jar too, filled with the gospel, yet fragile and lacking. The jar, this vessel that we have been given, is not important as the treasure that's within it. The clay jar is not what is powerful, but what is powerful is the contents of the clay jar. And that should be encouraging to all of us. These vessels, our selves, aren't built to last forever. They have imperfections and they're easily stressed and aged. But inside our fragile jars, there is a power given to us by God to proclaim the gospel by what we think and what we say and what we do. Paul wanted us to be clear that this power that fills us is not our own power, but the power of God. Paul knew the kinds of stresses that would threaten our delicate persons. He knew loss. He knew sin. He knew illness. He knew persecution. He knew all about getting beat up physically and emotionally. And from that experience, he tells us with all authority, we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not driven to despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed, because the power of God to save. We are filled with the power of God. The power of God. And so we do not lose heart in any circumstance. We may be fragile, but we are also full. And what a blessing it is that our mission on earth is to share that fullness in any way we can think of sharing with others who are also afflicted, perplexed, persecuted, struck down, and a little crazy.